YouTube fandom community, Sean Lennon fans, random people on the internet, my name is Giggens. We are here today to talk about Sean Lennon's second solo album, Friendly Fire, released on October 2nd, 2006. Wow, that made the video really dark. There we go. This album is in my top 10 of favorite albums of all time. I've enjoyed this album immensely since day one. I bought this the day it came out, back in 2006. I was in college when it came out. And I vividly remember this era of Sean Lennon so well because I lived it, and it was a good time to experience this music. So lots of good memories involved with it. But yeah, this album hit number 152 on the Billboard 100, number 5 on the Heatseeker charts. So I mean, it did pretty well for itself. In the indie sphere, I guess you can call it. But produced by Sean, features a ton of people, basically a lot of his friends like Harper Simon, Yuka Honda, Matt Chamberlain on drums, Harper Simon playing guitar, which is Paul Simon's son, John Bryan, Greg Kurstin, Jim Keltner, the classic famous Jim Keltner. So pretty impressive list of people on this thing. But the album itself stems from, I don't know if stems is the right word, but was inspired by the events that happened between his girlfriend at the time, Bijou Phillips, and his best friend growing up, a guy named Max Leroy. And basically, his girlfriend and Max got together and cheated on Sean. And the resulting, tragedies of that were this album. Before Sean and his friend Max got the chance to reconcile and work things out and go back to being friends again, or trying to figure out how to be friends again, Max passed away. He was in a motorcycle accident and he passed away. So he never got the chance to have that closure and get that relationship back on the positive foot again. So this album is a result of a lot of tragic things in his life at that point, between a breakup, being cheated on, his best friend dying. Not a good time for Sean, and his album reflects it. I mean, it's an absolute masterpiece. I'll come out and say this is, right off the bat, this is going to be a 10 out of 10 album. That's right off the bat. It's touching, it's deep, it's romantic, it's lush, it's extremely emotional. It really makes you think, it really makes you feel, and the use of empty space throughout this thing allows the album to breathe really well. The pacing is fantastic. Just the soul behind the whole thing is an absolute treasure of an album, and I wish more people knew about it because it's, like I said, in my top 10 of favorite albums of all time. I did see an interview at the time with Sean talking about this was the disintegration of relationships. This album captures what it's like to have a relationship slowly die in front of your eyes. And it's dying, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's going to end. I'm just going to wait for that final moment for the last shoe to drop. But very interesting album, and the album actually comes with a DVD of videos for each song, which is really cool. But first track on here, Dead Meat. This is kind of the song one of the first songs Sean wrote at that time that was like the catalyst for what could become this record, and he kind of figured out the vibe and the tone and what he would want to express, with his songs to help him heal. It's a fantastic opener. I mean, it's got this lullaby of a dreamscape imagery that it sounds like it could have fit very easily on Odyssey and Oracle, which is really cool. But the vocals are so passionately delivered, and they can sometimes border on disassociated because it's almost like you're so involved in it, you don't want to feel all the feelings you're feeling. It's a track that nails all those feelings of not having feelings, having too many feelings, wanting to be away from it all, wanting to be completely wrapped up in it. And as Sean once said in an interview too, it's where the dumb side of your brain takes over and feels violent or wants to harm someone for having harmed you. Instead of coming to a rational thought and talking about it first, that's kind of where your brain might go. Oh, I'm going to go beat the crap out of this guy for doing this to me. That kind of mentality. But it's such a last breath of a song, but it's also a sweeping declaration where it's like, yeah, I've been kicked in the throat pretty hard here, but I also don't want to talk about it, but I also am completely involved in what's happening. It's very unsettling. It's a very deep song with enough chord changes that really evoke emotion in you. They just evoke the feeling of pain and sorrow and longing. And beyond that, it's catchy as hell. It is a catchy song. I mean, the chorus will stay in your head for days. It's a very well constructed song. An absolute fantastic way to open up this LP. Wait for Me, the next track on here has a line that goes, "Everyone is born to die." Everyone is born to die. This is you're in this zone where it's so unhappy that you don't care. Like, it's such an unhappy state to be in, having lived through that, having had your heart torn out and pummeled on, and stepped on, and you got to live with this feeling and know that you've been betrayed by people you love. You know, Sometimes when you're sinking, a part of you would rather go back to. Okay, think of it this way: if you're drowning underwater, part of you would rather go back to that sinking ship because at least there was some sort of comfort in knowing that the ship wasn't sinking at one point. It used to be a good ship. Even though it's sinking now, I'd rather be here than drowning. You got to keep your head up and be the bigger person in this situation. But in the end, you're still alone. And that's kind of what this song is about. But the mentality behind the vocal delivery, the musicianship on it, is so sleepy and waltz-like, which it almost feels like a dream. And a lot of this album does. But I like his voice on this one for me. It's a little bit whimsical, if that's a word I can try to describe it with. There's many different build-ups in this song itself, and the lyrics are brutally honest. No matter how poetic they might be written, they're pretty damn honest. And Harper Simon's guitar solo is fantastic. Parachute. This was a single at the time. Remember, this and Dead Meat were singles off the album. Parachute for me is like a graceful fall, but also a fall from grace. You see the ground coming at you. You know it's going to happen, and even though it's going to hurt, you'd still rather be with the person who pushed you out of that high-flying plane. You're soaring through the clouds. The air is scarring your face as you're plummeting towards Earth. You grit your teeth, but as you're skyrocketing through these clouds, you're watching every happy memory you ever had with this relationship pass through you. Knowing it was a lie, or maybe it feels like a lie now. And you wonder if you ever knew what safety was, because obviously in this free fall, there is no safety net. That ground's going to come smack you upside the head pretty hard. Sean's abandoned voice on this album is so elegant and beautifully produced. The atmosphere that he creates of feeling lost is hypnotizing. It's a stellar track. It's played so well. And again, it's one of those things where, like, even if there were no lyrics and vocals on this, just the music alone would convey enough emotion to you just get that feeling. You know what he's talking about. It really works. Absolutely amazing track. It's absolutely fantastic song. Friendly Fire is the title track on this thing, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's when you're in the army or whatever, and someone on your team fires and kills someone on your team. Not supposed to happen. Your own team has betrayed you when you're left with a shell, empty of love, but full of confusion and desperation and depression and loneliness. But this track trudges along at a crawling pace, which I think is done well because it painfully describes and draws out the emotion of a dialogue of how a relationship in that situation would go on. A lot of the time, it's not so easy as just clean breakup and it's done. It's like, as Ringo once put it in the documentary, months and years of misery. A situation like that is being conveyed with this music that's very sparse and bordering on manic, but never actually getting to that point. It's a very vulnerable track, and I think the tuning, not the tuning, but the chords that he chooses are very playing with your head because they're not comfortable chords. And the pacing of the song isn't comfortable, and the whole thing feels awkward and full of anxiety, which, that's what he was feeling, so it works really well. Spectacle. Sometimes the flashiest things in your life can grab your attention to the point where you forget the real world. And that's, for me, what I always thought spectacle was about. We're drawn to shiny things because that's out of the ordinary. When we see something shiny, it catches your attention and distracts us from everything else that's going on. So with spectacle, I think Sean was so deep in the hole at this point, seeing love as a game, and it's only going to hurt you and manipulate you, that, seeing someone that you once had this relationship with, maybe looking at that person, you can sometimes forget everything that happened, and then you got to bring yourself back to reality and be like, wait, no, this is bad. I'm not supposed to be in this. There's lots of build-ups throughout this track. I love the way Sean expresses himself vocally. The pacing and the curious chord changes are just interesting enough around every corner to have something new going on. Keeps your attention up. And it's just a very melancholy track as well. But it's also kind of fun at the same time. It's got a good presentation. The production on that song in particular, I like it a lot. Tomorrow. This is one of my favorite songs on the album too. It's borderline music box meets vaudeville in its music, and the song's construction itself too. But deeply honest lyrics that are just completely. There's no frills here. This is as honest as it's gonna get. I promise to stop loving you tomorrow. Today will be the last day in my arms again. This one I almost feel like it could be from both sides of the party. I almost feel like this could be maybe written from Sean's side and from his friend Max's side, because both instances kind of work with each other. Like maybe Max was saying, look, I know we shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. We're friends with Sean. And then Sean's side could be like, I know what's going on even though you're not telling me, but I kind of want to keep doing this for now even though we shouldn't. We should stop this. The song is short but sweet, and I think it's one of those things that expresses itself really well because of that. Yeah, amazing track. On again, off again. Sometimes you can't fake it. Sometimes you're really into it, sometimes you're not really into it. That's human nature. But in the situation they were involved in, it's one of those things where like you should be turning it off, but it keeps coming back on. It's kind of like Tomorrow Part 2. The whole lyrically, it's just about confusion that you go through, and musically, I love this song. I mean, the guitar work on this track is unbelievable. That really bouncy acoustic there's so many changes in that. It's unbelievable. Sean Lennon's an amazing musician, and his songwriting is absolutely stellar. But it's a song about just not being able to drop a situation or drop someone you deeply care about, even though they may have hurt you intensely. Headlights. This track for me is also kind of like Spectacle in the sense that, let's drop the flashy stuff and just get down to talking and just have a moment where there's a little bit of peace. For me, this song always expressed taking time out for a second. We know that life is extremely stupid right now and the situation we're involved in is crazy, but let's take a step back, take a breath, and try to reassess what's happening and just try to have peace, a truce for a moment, if you will. Harper Simon's solo on this is an absolute classic again. I mean, his guitar playing adds such a nice little element that plays very well against Sean's. I wouldn't say against, but I would say in conjunction with Sean's playing. They make a really good pair, guitar-wise. I like that a lot. Yeah, cool song. Would I Be the One? This is a remake of a song by T-Rex originally, which is interesting. Sean had done this for a compilation a couple years before this record, and he felt he can redo it and do it better. And also, I mean, he basically took a song and made it his own, which I think is interesting. He made a cover an original. The production, the lost, longing, desperation that's drawn out at the end of the song, where there's a long jam with lots of feedback, guitar loops, heavy piano playing, dizzying strings, really soulful drumming. I mean, the whole track just builds and swells to this breaking point of that dizzying feeling when sometimes you are so fed up with a situation or you just don't know what to do. But I really enjoy the fact that this song's on here because he takes lyrics that there's not a whole lot of lyrics in this song. It's only a couple of lines, but just repeated over and over again. And I think that simple message lends itself to that lost feeling you have, or sometimes you're lost for words and you feel so used and betrayed and walked on. You ask yourself, should I still be with this person? Should I still be doing this? Should I still be the one that picks you up when you're down and tries to be there for everything, even though I know you're not going to do that for me. The situation we're involved in is completely messed up. It's just a song about like, the hell am I doing? Which is amazing, and it's that build up, the way the song starts and then just creates this cacophony as it goes through at the end. Unbelievable song, very moving, and I love how it just kind of fades into, after the dizzying swells happen, it does leave you with a bit of an acoustic guitar, which leads to the final song, Falling Out of Love, which has always been one of my favorite Sean Lennon songs of all time. This song pretty much sums up the rest of the album just as much as Dead Meat sums up the rest of the album. So it picks up where Dead Meat, starts it. It's a very tie a ribbon on it kind of a song. It's a very piano-led track, lots of really well-played, chords. It's kind of a dumb thing to say. Of course the chords are well-played. Sean's voice is very naked on this. It's very raw. There's not a whole lot of echo on it. And because of that, it sounds like you're in the room with him, which makes it even more personal and vulnerable. Everything's gone. All that's left is just himself, just his voice. That's it. This is kind of like your version of Only Love Can Break Your Heart by Neil Young. I kind of get a little bit of that vibe in emotion, not in any sort of musical way. But it's the realization that the relationship is over and everything you worked for and tried to fix it's done. It's not coming back. And you realize how disruptive and rude and how much of a kick in the head that was to have gone through that and to continue trying to make it work even though you know it won't work. This closing track says so much in the couple of minutes that it exists that it almost takes the entire album and smashes it into one song. It reaches for the depths of your soul with that, again, more frenzy of guitars near the end, really hammering pianos, and just a lost delivery in the vocals. I mean, that line, "I lost my way, don't follow me," breaks your heart. It's unbelievable how open and painful this track is. But there's one shred of hope at the very end with that last chord. For a song that's so minor to end with a bit of a major, kind of spins it. And so you get a little bit of hope that not all is lost. And that no matter how awful things have been, maybe it'll get better. And that's kind of where the album ends. It leads you to think, all right, well, what's going to happen next? That's kind of cool. It's an insanely powerful track. It's just drenched in honesty, brutal honesty, I'd say. It's a very open song. Like I said, it's very vulnerable. For me, a song like this can move anybody. Even if you're the most stoic of persons, and don't really feel emotion that much, this is a track that can do it for you. Again, even if there were no vocals on it, I really think just hearing the music alone would shake you. It comes... So much art comes from pain. And I think how art can inspire you can also help you move out of that place that you were in that inspired you in the first place. And I think making that art is an even deeper art because it's an understanding and a recollection of what you went through and how you might be able to move forward processing everything that happened. Whether it's something as simple and mundane as just getting out of bed in the morning or writing an entire album's worth for Capitol Records, what's important is that you do it. And so no matter how bad life can beat you down, where you think, all right, I've had friendly fire here, I've wished awful things upon people that I care about, I'm completely confused and nothing makes sense, there's a light at the end of that tunnel. And I think that's what that last chord represents on this album, is that no matter how crappy things got, how confusing and tumultuous it all was, it will get better. If you can make it to that one optimistic note, that's one more than zero. So, in an album full of minor chords, to hit that major key change, it's a big rift in a positive way. And that's kind of the whole journey of Friendly Fire. I mean, it's an unbelievably moving album that takes you through the process. It takes you through the discovery and trying to put things back together again, realizing it won't work. The dialogue, the conversation back and forth, and then coming to the realization at the end that it's over. The past is in the past. It's all going to start again. And maybe that last line, "Don't follow me," I've lost my way, don't follow me. maybe that's him saying goodbye to the past, and then that last chord is a separation of the two different worlds, whereas that's the end of that situation. This last final chord is me moving forward. There's positivity in the future. I can go that way. You know, he lived and learned about himself and his needs and what he wants and how to be a better person for himself, and try to, you know, patch things up with the people he cares about, even if they were hurting him. Because I think, you know, if you're able to just have a dialogue with people, that means a lot. And if you can fix things that way instead of holding grudges or being pissed off forever, maybe that makes your life better. So, you know, to reflect on Dead Meat again, you know, you're going to get what you deserve. In the end, you're going to learn. You're going to get what you deserve. Maybe he was also singing about himself. Or in the end, you're going to get what you deserve, and you deserve love, and you deserve to be respected and taken care of. So in that self-discovery, maybe Dead Meat takes a twist, where it's a little bit of a different vibe, where it's about him instead, and that he needs positivity in his life at the very end. And that's my long-winded review on Friendly Fire. I had a feeling this is going to be a long one. But I'll show you the inside of the jacket here. Oh, actually, I'll show you this too. This is a promo copy, which is pretty cool. So same front cover, but then the back is just a plain, boring sleeve. And then the disc itself is just a simple disc. The actual thing has a very nice booklet where Sean drew all the pictures. And he actually dedicated it to Max Leroy, who passed away in 2005 at the age of 30. But a lot of the pictures on here, let's see if I can get this closer here, kind of relate to the music videos a little bit. And you got some information there. The DVD is absolutely amazingly well produced. They had a very small budget to work with, and they used it extremely well. Here's the music, and then there's the movies. But it plays like a movie, and you can pick each individual track and watch one music video at a time, or watch the whole thing play out. And there's even moments where he plays his friend Max, and Bijou Phillips is in it as his girlfriend. Tons of other people are here, like Carrie Fisher and Lindsay Lohan at the time, as they were all friends. But the videos are very interesting to watch, very fun to watch, and they reflect the music extremely well. And they take the music to a deeper level visually, because then you get a more abstract view of a different thought process to how to examine these songs as well. Yeah, I mean, this album is absolutely fantastic. He did tour in support of this thing. He did some TV shows, lots of interviews. He was on, you know, Conan and the Sharon Osbourne show, and he did some a lot of press for it. But he hasn't really revisited it as much as I know. I mean, he went on to form the Ghost of a Saber-Toothed Tiger with his girlfriend Charlotte Ketmole, and they've been together forever at this point. And their band is fantastic. I love their records, but this one for me will always be extremely special and hold a very big place in my heart. So yeah, like I said in the beginning of this video, 10 out of 10, hands down, one of my favorite albums of all time. If you haven't heard it, pick it up. I highly recommend it. His songcraft, his vocals, his ability as a musician, and the people he chose to be on this thing as well, all make for an amazingly well-produced package. That's sure to stick in your head and really make you think and make you feel something. And that's it. My name is Giggens. This has been Sean Lennon, Friendly Fire, Capitol Records, October 2006. Actually, quick story. When I was in college, one of my first things I did for a class, an English class, was we had to write a review about something, and I wrote a review about this guy. So right when that thing came out, I wrote a review for it. I'd like to find that. I have it somewhere. But anyways, my name is Giggens. This has been Friendly Fire with Sean Lennon. Thank you so much for watching. 10 out of 10. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.